We have a great agenda for you today. We're going to kick off with Evan, one of our senior data analysts, and he performed a thorough analysis of over 500,000 downsell offers, and he'll be sharing those insights and data that he found as he went through this process. Next, we'll have Connor Gordon join the stage. Connor is the director of sales at Wash and Roll. They've made some really significant changes to their downsell program, and we'll be talking through their story. Lastly, we'll turn the time over to you all for a Q&A. Nick Muccio, one of our great CSMs, will be joining us at that time to help answer some of your questions. And you can find the Q&A chat to the right of your screen if you're on desktop, or at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us on mobile. Feel free to drop any questions that you have during the demo, and just know that if we're unable to get to your questions, we'll make sure to reach out afterwards. I see that Josh from QuitJet Car Wash wrote in the chat. It's good to have you here. We'll go ahead and now start and turn the time over to Evan. All right, Evan, I'll have you come on stage.
Hi, everyone. So I'll start sharing my screen here. And it's nice to meet everybody. My name is Evan. I'm a senior data analyst here at Rinst. And I'm excited to be speaking with you all about downsells. We have a lot of fascinating data here at Rinst that gave us an opportunity to really analyze this commonly used strategy to understand, what is there evidence, and what is that evidence that this is an effective and powerful tool to maximize customer lifetime value for businesses. And it was really fun to synthesize some of this information into something that can hopefully be helpful for the industry as a way to understand this strategy and continue optimizing and continue growing our businesses. So our agenda is going to look like this. We're going to start off by simply talking about what is a downsell, what does that look like, and how do we think about it? Why implement this strategy? Why use a downsell? Does this really add value? What's the evidence for that? And after going through all of that, we'll look at what are some of the best practices to maximize downsell effectiveness when we actually look to implement this strategy. So always feel free to contribute questions as we go along in the chat, and we'll hopefully look to address those in the Q&A. So what is a downsell to begin? Downsell is a promotional offer presented to customers when they go to cancel their subscription. So at that crucial moment when someone decides, I think this subscription here is not for me, we're offering them something that might look like this. We're offering them an opportunity to typically stay on the same plan that they were. So in this, example case, staying on the Unlimited Works plan, but for a discounted price, going down to $26 a month from $35 a month for a limited time, in this case, 3 months. We tend to see offers that range between 25% off and 50% off mainly, and for periods of time, typically between 3 months and 6 months. But we do see, examples of, also the tail end of the extremes, stuff closer to 75% off in a really aggressive case, or closer to 12 months of promotional time in another aggressive example. So why implement a downsell? Put most simply and succinctly, a downsell is an effective way to maximize customer lifetime value by helping you retain customers profitably. And what is the evidence for that? Does this really add value? I think it's also helpful to think as we think about this general question of why downsell for two qualitative strategies. One, it's an example of a customer deciding that they'd like to cancel, so it gives us an opportunity right there and then to bring them back as a customer and offer them a differentiated price. But a really helpful strategy to think of as well is if they are to accept that, that gives us an opportunity to re-engage them as a customer and lengthen their lifetime as well. So there's both the kind of point in time accepting of an offer, and that's great that they've returned as a customer, but we now also, that gives us the opportunity to continue engaging them and really lengthening the lifetime value of that customer. So what is the evidence for downsells working? Wouldn't the customers, maybe just come back regardless as a retail customer, and now we're just giving them a discounted price? Well, when we compare those two examples of folks who accept a downsell offer and continue on a promotional track for a period of time, as compared to those who reject a downsell offer and return as retail customers, we see a 4 to 5x increase in the revenue received from the customers that accepted the downsell as compared to the ones who didn't and returned to retail. And I think this is for two reasons. One is the general proof of the subscription model that's revenue. If someone's accepting a downsell, they're continuing on as a recurring member, and they feel incentivized to return to the wash, and that revenue is kind of locked in that monthly way. But it also, as we discussed, gives an opportunity to continue engaging that customer as their subscription member, as opposed to kind of having to rely on someone returning to the wash in a retail manner over the course of their lifetime. So here's some data around what we just discussed. In this chart, we have on the blue line the cumulative value, so membership and retail revenue that we've observed by the downsell outcome. And in the blue line, we see those who accepted a downsell. And in the red line, we can see those who declined a downsell offer, but continued to return to a location in a retail manner. And can see that over time, that subscription revenue really driving the blue line up 4 to 5x from the retail revenue that's really driving the value of those who declined the offer. So again, both because we had this opportunity to continue engaging these customers and ensure that they would retain and return in their relationship, plus that kind of guaranteed subscription revenue, that really drives up the value that we observe in these two different populations from those who declined the offer initially and returned as retail customers. So, what is the other evidence for, the kind of effectiveness of a downsell strategy, and why take our word for it? So we have over 1 million downsell offers that we've seen extended within our database, and we can measure effectively the savings and behavior across a really wide variety of customer types, both those that are tending to visit washes very often with a high frequency, over 5 times a month, but also those who maybe are visiting less frequently, and also a variety of different wash locations. And ultimately, we've seen over 100,000 downsells accepted and over $11 million in added revenue that we've attributed to these downsells that we've seen added across the customers within our data set. As we look to measure the performance of a downsell and its effectiveness, it's important to have some foundations of that measurement. How should we go about thinking about this? And there's kind of 3 foundations of that we like to think about. One of those is the acceptance rate. So of folks who have received an offer, what percentage of them actually accepted that offer? Expected months of retention. So how long did those people that accepted actually stick around and continue returning as customers? And the average price of the downsell. So, did we offer an extreme discount that isn't actually going to be able to drive value for us as a business and isn't, pragmatic to our margins? Or did we find a good balance of presenting a customer with a good option, but also maintaining, pragmatics within our margins? So on acceptance rate, it's helpful to think about, what what are the different baselines for this metric. You'd say a weak acceptance rate averages roughly around 1 to 4%. An average acceptance rate closer to 5 to 8%. A strong acceptance rate, you're up towards 9% and getting into the double digits in 12%. And a very strong acceptance rate might be above 12%. Same framework for expected months of retention. Something a little weaker might look like only 1 to 3 months of retention. Perhaps in that case, you've not seen as effective of a plan that's bringing someone, not just like having them accept, but bringing them back. An average amount of months of retention would look closer to 4 to 7 months. Strong would look like 7 to 10 months, and very strong would look, over 11 months, over a year, which we've definitely seen in certain cases. And then the average price, as we said, that it's a bit more difficult to create that framework of heuristics, as there might be a combination of prices you want to implement across different customer types. And also it's a bit relative to your margins as a business, as you look to see what kind of discount is appropriate for you. But average price is also important to think about, as it might be driving some of these other two metrics of acceptance rate and expected months of retention. So monitoring and measuring all of these metrics is going to be crucial to ensuring your downsell program is as effective and pragmatic as possible. So what drives success? How do you ensure that the plans you're implementing achieve the outcomes that you want? And I think two ways to think about it are that higher discount percentages tend to drive up acceptance rates, so that first metric we talked about, and longer duration timelines on your promotions, those tend to drive up retention timelines. So you can try to think about these two levers to pull as you're trying to achieve certain outcomes for your business. Lastly, funneling all your cancellations through the same online portal allows you to ensure that you have the proper visibility across your whole spectrum of plans and downsells offered, so that you're able to measure things side by side, see consistency and visibility and maximum effectiveness as you're trying to implement that measurement framework. So this is just a chart here. One of our customers going from relatively lower percentage of their cancellations handled by Rinse, so the same online portal, and then increasing that percentage just so that they're able to have that full visibility into the acceptance rates, expected months of retention, and average price across all their plans offered, so that they're able to really hone in on the best plan for them. Great. So I think another thing to think about is ensuring that you have a sense of pricing integrity. You don't want to feel as if you're giving away the house. And there are levers to implement to ensure that that's the case when you're thinking about downsells. Two ones to think about are, one, if you have a customer who tends to visit maybe 10 times a month, that's a customer that's putting a fair amount of pressure on your margins and might not be someone you want to provide a 50% discount to. So we have the ability to configure, what is the maximum visits per month you want to apply to a downsell plan to ensure that you're offering the right percentage discount or length of discount to the right customer. I think the fun thing about this is that we've observed a degree of sensitivity in our discount plans when we analyze their effectiveness. So someone who is visiting much more frequently, we've seen that they actually don't need as high of a discount when they're presented with a downsell plan to achieve the same average acceptance rate. Whereas someone who visits, not quite as frequently, they do need a higher discount percentage in order to achieve, a strong acceptance rate. So it's important to think about these configurations as you're looking to optimize, the prices and plans that you're presenting to your customers at a given time. I think it's also an appropriate fear that someone might come back, once they see that downsells are a possibility, they might come back and try to cancel to get one again. But we're able to limit downsells only being offered or available to a member once every, configurable amount of months, for example, no more than once a year. And it's important to implement those guardrails into your strategy as you're looking to ensure everything is optimized. So here are a couple of charts that speak to that success driving across these metrics that we've discussed. So to talk through it, on the left-hand side, we're looking at acceptance rates, and we're looking at on the x-axis different amounts of discount. So on the way left-hand side, we're looking at, hey, for what are the acceptance rates for discounts ranging between 0 and 20%. Then we're looking at 20 and 35%, and then 40% and over. And we can see this gradual increase in the acceptance rates across, as we improve the discount rate amount. We can also see some differentiation in the acceptance rates by the promotional length. For example, we might not see as quite a high of an acceptance rate on the 1 or 2 month plans as we're seeing on the 4 to 12 month and 12+ month plans. However, the main driver of these differences is really the amount of discount rather than the promotional length. On the right-hand side, we're looking at the retention, so the other side of the equation. How long are these customers sticking around? So what this chart is showing is when we look at a bunch of customers that accepted a downsell, starting at month 0, what percentage of them can we expect to be around, 5 months into the future, 12 months into the future? We have enough data in our, kind of actual data set to look at, what did that look like after 12 months? And then when we had such a large sample size, we were able to build models to predict out, over the course of 3 years, so 36 months, what might this look like? Here we're comparing a 1-month plan and a group of customers that accepted that to a 12-month plan and a group of customers that accepted, that downsell. And you can see the stark difference in retention that we observe between, that very short-term plan where someone accepts, they quickly turn over. We didn't really have the opportunity to further engage them as a customer, versus the 12-month plan where customers felt incentivized to, continue on this price for a while. And there's plenty of opportunities to continue engaging them to try to extend out their retention. So we can see into 36 months into the future, we're retaining roughly like 35% of that 12-month original base. And we've been at 0% for that 1-month plan, ever since we hit nearly 2 years, the 24-month mark. So to end on, what are the best practices? What would we recommend when thinking about implementing downsells? Of course, every business is unique, and our goal would be to help use, rinsed data and your data to create the most effective personalized downsell program. But we feel confident with these 2 recommendations that for members who have under 2 visits per month, an aggressive offer of something like a 12-month plan at a 25% discount would be really effective in achieving both the longevity and the upfront acceptance rate to create a ton of value through this downsell strategy. And for members who visit more frequently, between 2 and 5 visits per month, something shorter term like a 3-month plan, but a slightly more aggressive discount, like a 50% discount, would be most effective. So that wraps up our presentation, and I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you all very much for listening.
Amazing. Thanks, Evan, for sharing that information and that data. We appreciate you going through it so extensively. All right, we'll now move on to, we'll have Connor join the stage from Wash and Roll. Like I said before, Connor has done some great things for their downsell strategy. Hey, Connor, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thanks so much for joining us today on our
Thanks
live
for having me.
Yeah. So to kick things off, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Wash and Roll?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We opened our first location here in 2013. Since then, we've expanded to East Tennessee. We're in Alabama, Georgia, and Indiana. And at the end of this month, we'll be opening our 50th location. I started with the company from day one selling memberships, and today we have over 100 employees that are hired specifically to sell memberships and drive membership growth.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing a little bit there. Well, I know that in January, y'all implemented some fairly significant changes to your downsell strategy. Do you want to talk us through what you did before January and then what changes you made?
Yeah, so prior to January of this year, we started working with rents after the car wash show in Nashville in 2022 and set up our initial downsell offer, which essentially offers any customer on one of our top 3 packages to switch to our cheapest plan at full price, no discounts applied to that. And for about a year, we ran at about a 2% acceptance rate on that offer.
So then what changes did you make in January?
Yes, after diving into some data with Nick and the rents team, and working on ways to improve, we've taken a much more aggressive approach. Very similar to a lot of the data Evan had in his presentation. We offer anywhere from 25 to 50%. The parameters that rents have in place of, who gets what offer has been very helpful as well. But since then, we've grown an average to 10% acceptance rate, where our higher plans are accepting at almost 15%. So there's been quite a change from our initial offer to our more aggressive approach.
Yeah, definitely. You said 2% before, and now you're getting about 10 to 15.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. So when you first made these changes, what were you hoping to be able to achieve?
I mean, obviously retention. Retention is the goal of, any membership subscription base, getting that churn rate low. With us having a very active sales team and running promotions, year round, we have a lot of customers who do sign up, try the promotion, watch a couple of times and then just cancel. And, up to that point, these were just customers that, we didn't make a lot of profit on. We didn't get a huge opportunity to earn their business long term. So obviously shifting this direction, we're seeing a lot of customers that stay on, not just through the downsell offer, but once their membership goes back up to full price, they're sticking with us, or, during that time, gaining more knowledge on the difference in our packages. And, maybe for some, a cheaper plan is the option to go to after their downsell offer. So.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. From your experience using this strategy, would you recommend it to other washes?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the opportunity to keep customers long-term is everyone in the car wash business's goal. Like I said, the parameters that rents have in place to who gets what offer and how customizable it is great. And, we absolutely recommend it, and we will continue to use it and continue to grow and, continue to learn and change our approaches as well.
Great. Well, thanks, Connor, for joining us. I appreciate you sharing your story about how you've been able to improve your downsell strategy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and transition now to the Q&A session. I'll have Nick and Evan join us. It looks like there are a couple of questions that have come through. However, if there are any additional questions, feel free to go ahead and put them within our chat to the right of your screen. Now, I see one question that has come through specifically from Bert. It says, for customers not on the top membership package, could you offer them an upgrade to the next package rather than a discount? Nick, do you want to be able to kind of answer that one?
Yeah, sure. Happy to follow up with my answer in the Q&A. Short answer is yes. To give a bit more context, it's not a strategy we have seen widely implemented. So I'd encourage you to if you are a current rinsed customer, reach out to your customer success manager to get some insight into how exactly you would implement that. But yes, something like that is possible. I would also say that something like that, which Bert referenced, could be a proactive measure that you could use our member offer feature to be reaching out to customers about before they even attempt to cancel, which would be something we might follow up on at a later webinar. But yes, that is possible to do. I think another point about Bert's question, though, is do you have data to support that? Because it's a strategy we haven't seen widely implemented, we don't yet have data that we can use to suggest how effective has that been. But as with any program in Rinse, we'd encourage you to do some testing out yourself, right? You could run that kind of promotion and then see how effective is this. Keep it live for a couple months and then see how your data is tracking using your Rinse analytics to get a sense of, do we want to continue to do this or not?
Great. Thanks, Nick. All right, I did a couple of great questions have been coming in, so I appreciate you guys putting them within the chat. One, is Rinse able to selectively offer discounts to customers based on their number of monthly visits? Nick, I'll have you go ahead and answer this one as well.
Yes, is the short answer to that question. Average visits per month is one of the filters that you can use when dictating who should be eligible for what downsell offer. Another thing that we see people use a lot is minimum membership age in months, right? So for example, perhaps you want to show one offer to people who've been around for 2 to 3 months, for example, but perhaps you want another offer for people who have been customers for 4 to 6 months, right? All of those are possible using the Rinse downsell feature.
Great, thank you. There's a question that came in about, do we have any data on acceptance rates of prepaid duration? For example, a 50% discount, but customers have to pay 3 months or 6 months up front. Nick, do you want to, or Evan, do you want to provide clarity there?
Sure. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have information on a prepaid duration, but I would be very curious about how that performs, and maybe it's something that we can look at in the future.
Yeah.
Or work with folks to understand how that data might come through.
Thanks. And then another question has come through. Will there be an opportunity to offer 2 downsell plans? So 50% off or 25% off?
That's a great question. Yeah. So a couple ways to interpret this. So the customer today is only going to see one downsell offer, right? So for example, if I go to a Rinse ticket form and I attempt to cancel my membership, Rinse is going to automatically identify what downsell offer is this customer eligible for. So if they attempt to cancel, we're going to show them that one offer. However, it is possible to have multiple offers running simultaneously, right? So for example, as a customer, I could be eligible for multiple downsell offers. Rinse is going to do the math there and do shake out which downsell offer is going to make your business the most profit. And we're going to show that downsell offer to a customer. So yes, just another thing to highlight there, it is possible to have multiple downsells running simultaneously, but the customer is only ever going to see one downsell offer when they attempt to cancel if they are eligible.
Amazing.